This video is going through how to answer the June 2024 question paper 2-2 map skills question for the IGCSE Geography Cambridge exam. So why this video? Like all my videos that I published on how to do map skills, the map skills part of the course is will come up. Every single student does paper 2. The first 20 marks are always map skills. Although I go through how to answer a particular exam paper, the skills I show and the approaches of how to answer those questions can be applied to any of the past questions on map skills. So please, as you're sitting down going through exam past papers, use this video, use the chapters, go through and apply the skills from this particular video to previous videos and to previous past papers. So what I would suggest you do before you get started, open up the map skills paper and have all the resources out in front of you. So a little bit more information about the map skills question. It is 20 marks out of a possible 60 for paper 2. It is compulsory, so you have to sit this, you haven't got any choice. I would take about 30 minutes to approach it, and the questions could be on usually embedded within settlement and rivers, but occasionally they can drip in coasts or tourism as well. For the exam, you'll definitely need a protractor, a ruler, a pencil, sharpener, and a rubber. Before starting the exam, there are several things I think you should do. The first thing is draw this onto your map. It's the compass with 16 points and the various bearings as well. This is really useful when it comes to those 1 or 2 mark questions that get you to work out the direction and or bearing. So draw that on first. It's quite a nice way just to sort of get you ready for the exam. And the second thing you need to do is identify the scale and contour lines. In this particular case, tells you, what are the various spot heights, how do they look on a map, and what are the contour line intervals. And then it's also worth to remember that what the scale means. So 1 in 25,000 means 1 centimetre is 250 metres in real life. And obviously, as you know, another common scale is 1 to 50,000. So all of the exam questions on map skills tend to start off in the same way. The first way they set off is you have an extract from the map, and then you have a whole series of questions asking you to identify a particular feature, name a feature, or identify a height in this case. So remember, as you're going through, please have open on your screen or printed out in front of you a copy of the exam paper. Now, first thing I tell my students is always that the dimensions of the extract, in this case figure 1.1 in the exam paper, is the same as what you see on the map. So if I was to measure the outline of these 2 boxes, they would come to an 8 centimetre by an 8 centimetre square because the individual grid squares are 4 by 4. So it's worth remembering that. Then as you go through, it's always good to have the map to one side next to the exam paper. And so in this case, it tells you the name of the river A, so I need to look at the blue squiggly line in there, and I match up the blue squiggly line, and it tells me is the RS Silvestro. And then feature B, okay, so I'm looking for that a black squiggly line that looks like this. So looking at that, okay, I think it's the hiking line because it tends to follow that. Try not to be confused with the yellow roads. So yeah, I'm going to put it as a mule track or wide and easy path with signs. Next thing is feature C, is that we are looking at, again, a similar feature that kind of bends around and snakes around like that. So I think we are going for a minor road. The yellow road there follows pretty much the outline of that black line quite well. And then the next one is the height above sea level of the spot height. So D, I'm going to look for D as well. Okay, in the top bit there, I can see a number. 1468, just above that green dotted line, and so I'm going to circle that for you there. And yeah, okay, so I'm going to write the spot height of 1468. I'll check my answers. Here we go, all correct. Next series of questions, which I always quite like, is spot the difference or compare and contrast. So you have 2 grid squares and you need to compare to see which have the various features on this table and tick in which row applies. So again, remember, I would always draw on these 2 boxes onto the A3 map extract because that helps me to focus. And so you just go through, right, parking. Symbol for a parking is a P. I can't see a blue P anywhere, so I'm going to put neither of these areas. The next one is I'm looking for the camping site symbol. So again, I've taken this from the key of the map, and you can see here on the left-hand side, so figure 1.2, there is a camping symbol. The next one, I'm looking for a main road. So I'm looking for which of these boxes has a main road going through it, and I can confidently say both of these areas have the orange roads. Mostly flat means that the contour lines are relatively speaking far apart. So I would say that is only figure 1.3. And then mostly gently sloping, I would say that it's pretty much 1.2. In some areas of figure 1.3, the contour lines are very close together, to the north and south of the grid square, whereas generally speaking in figure 1.2, they are quite far apart, the coastline, the contour lines. So I'm just going to check my answers here, and we can see, yeah, all correct. Again, something like this, go through each feature, look at what they're asking me to do, check the key, just take it nice and steady. Okay, so moving on. These questions tend to be grouped together, so you might have to work out the distance, bearing, grid reference, maybe a direction as well. So these next three skills tend to be grouped together into, as in this case, one question, three sub-questions into one question. And so for this question, what is the distance along the railway from the western edge of the map to the Toblach-Delbach railway station? And it gives you the 6-figure grid reference here. Give your answer in meters. So we need to double check the key just to make sure I'm following the right area. And so the key for a railway is a black line, and the railway station is a white box on a black line. And the two match up nicely. Okay, so I'm marking on the start and ends. The start is on the western edge, so we're going here, and the end is the railway station. And again, like I said, just to confirm, with the 6-figure grid reference. That's really important because it's going from and to. Because we are going along that railway line, it means that the scale is, well, the scale is always important, but it means that you aren't doing the straight line distance. You need to work out the actual length of that railway line, and then you would times it, whatever it is in centimeters, you would times it by 250 meters to give you your answer. So a quick way to doing this, if you have a piece of string, you can lay it along the railway line, and then once you've got that piece of string, you straighten it out, and you can use a ruler to measure the string and compare the scale. So pretty much whatever that distance is, you can times it by 250 meters. An alternative method, again, mark on the start and end, and check whilst after checking the scale, is to break up the route into as many straight parts as possible. So I've done that here. I've tried to divide it up into as many straight parts as possible. Then once you've done that, you take out your ruler and you measure each straight part. So once you've done that, so you can add them all up. So I'm doing that here. And that would give you about, in my case, 13.3 centimeters. And then once you've added those up, you can then times that by 250 to give you your distance. So now you need to measure the bearing from where the railway meets the western edge of the map to the railway station here. So we've got the railway station, I told you what it is, we mark on the start and end. Now this is when you then draw a straight line that connects the two dots. But before you do that, your start point is at the western edge, okay, and you're going towards that train station. So on the western edge, the start point, you would draw a little north arrow. You would then draw a straight line to connect those 2 points. You then take out your protractor and you measure the angle of that, the bearing, the angle of that straight line. North being 0 degrees and you're going around, east being 90, and so you work out whatever it is there. In this case, it's 113 degrees. Now, if the question was asking you then to work out the direction, you would plot on that point onto your compass that you drew at the start, and you would work out and the direction is whatever that angle is closest to, that bearing is closest to. So in this case, if the question was asking me to put on the direction, I would write east, south, east, or ESE. But in this case, I just need to write the degrees, so I'm going to put 113. Now, the next question was asking us to look at the 6-figure grid reference of the place where the main road 51 passes over the railway. So I need to find the feature and circle it. So in this particular case, that is the road 51. So I'm going to follow that until it crosses the railway line, which is this point here. I check my scale, so I know that each grid square is a 4 by 4 centimetre square. I need to work out the full figure grid reference first of the grid square that feature is in. To do that, I know I found out the grid square, and I'm going to mark on the bottom left-hand corner. I then need to go along the corridor first to find the number that is in line with the bottom left-hand corner, which in this case is 87. And then I go up the stairs to the number that's in line with that bottom left-hand corner, in this case 78. And so I'm going to write my answer, as you can see there at the bottom, as 87 space 78, because the six-figure reference number needs to tell me where in that grid square that feature can be found. And in this particular case, I'm looking for the third and sixth number. Now, to get started, I need to work out how far between grid square point 87 and 88 that feature can be found. So I take out my ruler and I would measure that distance. As you can see here, it's a 4 centimetre square. So that feature is 26 millimeters. I'm going to the center of that feature from the left-hand edge of the map. So if I was to divide 26 by 4, because I need to do a 10 by 10 grid, that gives me the answer of 6.5. So I'm going to write round up to 87.7. Now to work out what it is going up the line between 78 and 79, again I take my ruler, I put 0 at the bottom closest to 78, the line for 78. I go up and I measure that, and my answer is about 17 millimeters. So I divide that again by 4, so I get 4.25. I'm going to round down to 4. And so my answer will be 87.778.4. And I'm going to write my answer there. And you can see here that actually they were quite generous and they gave me a little bit of a leeway. And we have all those questions. Right. Now, the next question, I find these particularly hard. I think these are very frustrating, but these are what we are asked to do. So the first one, identify the vegetation at X, is quite straightforward. With these questions, the first thing you do is mark on from the figure, from the exam paper, that point 860760, 890760. I would mark on that line onto my A3 extract. And also I know that those two distances are exactly the same. So 12 centimeters on the extract on the exam paper is the same as the A3 map. And so with that useful piece of information, I'm going to mark on, so 3.1 millimeters is where X, the feature land use X, can be found. And so I mark on 3.1 millimeters onto my map from the left-hand edge, and I'm looking at land use. So I'm looking at the color in which that map at that particular point has been colored in. So it's green, so I'm going to mark on wood as my answer. And so now the next part of the question for 2 marks, I need to draw how that black line changes between where it ends at 3.1 millimeters to where it starts again at 8.6 millimeters. To do that, I need to know how the contour lines are changing in height. So if I zoom into that map extract there, and I've got my ruler on here, I need to look at, I'm going to mark on the thicker contour lines. Okay, I know the contour line interval is 25 meters. It tells me my key, but I'm going to look at the thicker brown line because they're going to be hundreds. So here I've marked onto the map where the contour lines are thickest. As you can see, my distances here. And so I know that one is 1400 millimeters because the spot height is slightly below. It goes down because it goes down towards the lake. So the next thick black line is 1300 meters. The next one's 1200 meters, 1300 meters, and it goes up again. And then I can look at where the lake ends and starts as well. And so I work out when those distances change and what centimeters they change at. Make a little, write those down somewhere. And then I'm going to draw those points onto there and connect the dots at the ends. Really frustrating for 2 marks, but that's how I would do it. Looking at when the contour lines cross my lines and then draw those on. And here I'm just checking my answers. Yep, the first one I put wood. And then it shows that the lowest point is 1150 meters, and it should rise to above 1400 meters, which it does here. And you can see how I've gone about drawing it there. Again, very frustrating. A lot of what you have to do for 2 marks. Okay, the next bit is asking you to look at the main settlements, and you can see it there, and then tick the boxes of the ones that help the sediment to grow and not help the sediment to grow. Again, I'm going to mark on those two grid squares that they identify at the top of the question. And the first one is, which one of the following has helped the sediment to grow? Okay, so which feature there do you think has helped that town to get bigger? Fishing, I would probably expect there to be a much bigger river or a lake, so probably not that. North facing the slopes, generally in the northern hemisphere, which is where Italy is, you want to be a south facing slope because that's warmer. Whereas this one, most of the town is on the north siding face. Motorway, I can't see any of the motorways for that as orange is the main road, so yellow is a minor road, so there's no motorways, so it has to be a road junction. You can see here loads of different roads meet. The next one, which of the following has not helped the sediment to grow? Meeting of valleys, possibly not. Mining, can't see much evidence of mining there. South facing slope or tourism. That's the symbol for a closed mine. Can't see that, so I'm going to put mining there. All the others, south-facing slope, bits of it is tourism. Well, tourism certainly would have helped it to grow. Meeting of valleys, that's where it's been built, so it's going to be mining. Next one, study the area in the southwest of the map shown in figure 1.5. Again, I've drawn that onto my map there to focus in on what I need to look at. Which three of the following statements describe the relief, the height and shape of the land, and drainage of the area shown in figure 1.5? Drainage means basically the amount of water, the density of blue squiggly lines, streams and rivers. So we're going to go over this and go through bit by bit. Okay, so which of these apply? Some land is over 2,000 meters. Yep, I can see spot heights over 2,000 meters, so I can tick those. Most land is below 1,000 meters. Can't see any height to denote that the land is below 1,000 meters. As we said, most of it's above that, so I can cross that one out. There are cliffs and very steep slopes. There are certainly very steep slopes and probably the odd cliff here and there. There is a plateau, a flat piece of land. Nope. There is a floodplain. Nope. This is definitely in the upper course of the river. I would not expect there to be a floodplain. There are large rivers. Again, most of these rivers are narrow, so no. So therefore, there are many small streams. Yes, large rivers will be thick. This is the upper course of the river. Yes, the river bends, but no big looping meanders. Upper course of the river, the delta appears in the lower course of the river. So we can definitely ignore that, definitely ignore that, definitely ignore that. And so you could do, before you start this question, is actually look at the stuff that does not apply and cross that out. And we can just check our answer against the mark scheme. Thank you for watching. Go through past papers and practice. And here is some last minute advice.